The reason why the Buddha could become the Buddha is because of the autonomic nervous system. Without the autonomic nervous system to carry the human being and all the mental phenomena and all our experiences of life, without that we could not become the Buddha. The Buddha could not become the Buddha, was it not for the existence of the autonomic nervous system. The reason why Buddha could become the Buddha is because of the autonomic nervous system. The reason why a guru can become a guru is because of the autonomic nervous system. There's a guru in Costa Rica called Shunyamurti in his Sat Yoga ashram, who is very intelligent, very great guy, so to speak, a good spiritual teacher because he's so intelligent. But the God that Shunyamurti has found has been made available to him by the autonomic nervous system. That's why this is important to discuss. For Muji too, we have to reduce the cholesterol, the spiritual cholesterol in spirituality. We have to take out the cholesterol. We have to take out the Shiva Shiva shake of Muji, and we have to take out the self-delusional Godhead and the self-delusional Sat Yoga paradigm of Shunyamurti, and come back to truth. There's nothing wrong with the God of Shunyamurti, and there's nothing wrong with the Shiva Shiva shake of Muji. But it is cholesterol, unless it is an experiential reality, of course. But that experiential reality is made available to us by the autonomic nervous system. It is available to us because of the autonomic nervous system. That's why we are able to experience it. We are being given these experiences because of the existence of the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is the silver platter that gives Shiva Shiva shake to Muji, and it's the silver platter that gives the Godhead to Shunyamurti. The autonomic nervous system is that which makes it possible for these guys to have the mayonnaise of the true self inside themselves. All right? So we will continue to discuss it, because it is extremely important. It is this. I mean, the autonomic nervous system is the unseen platform on which everything else exists. Not only our experiences of God or of the soul or of the heart or of the Atman. Everything. The autonomic nervous system is the platform on which we live. It's as simple as that. That's why this is extremely important to discuss and reflect upon and convey to the public, and this is why I do it. It is extremely important to understand if we really, truly want to understand the human being and all of our experiences, and that which we can perceive and acknowledge experientially as a part of our life experience. The reason why Nisargadatta Maharaj could discover and see and convey and acknowledge the ultimate absolute is because of the autonomic nervous system. Without being carried by the autonomic nervous system, you cannot let go of every mental phenomena and still be able to experience in pure consciousness. Because if you have to do something by yourself, if you have to constitute mental phenomena by yourself, then you cannot discover the ultimate absolute. The reason why gurus can discover God is because of the autonomic nervous system. There are some gurus who see God and experience God as the experience of the self itself. And we cannot experience the self itself without being held and carried by the autonomic nervous system. The reason why Ramana Maharshi could become the true self after having seen it and discovered it and acknowledged it as that which is unchangeable is because of the autonomic nervous system. Without the autonomic nervous system that carried the life and the mental phenomena and the life experience of Ramana Maharshi, he could not have discovered the true self. Because the true self is just the experience of the self itself. It's the experience of the I amness. The experience of the I amness, the experience of our beingness, is that which we call the self in spirituality traditions. And we cannot be this experience or have this experience unless we can completely let go of being the doer. We have to let go of being that which holds or produces anything. We have to give that up completely. We have to give up control completely. We have to give up that which it is to control things. Only when you do that can you discover or find peace in that which we call true self. And this is possible only because of the nervous system, of the autonomic nervous system that carries us, that holds us, which is the platform on which we stand. We are standing on the platform of the autonomic nervous system. Jesus could not have spoken about the kingdom of God without being able to experience that in him which he could experience because he let himself lose control of controlling mental phenomena. He was in a state of meditation. He was in a state of receiving the experience of consciousness itself. He was in the state of experiencing that which is true self. So in many ways Jesus and Ramana Maharshi was very close. They were the same thing when they were talking about self in Ramana Maharshi's case and the kingdom of God in Jesus' case. This is a claim that I make, or I say that it is like this, but of course we cannot completely know if what I say is true. But if you want, and if you're interested, and if you are sincere, please try to find out if it can be true, that which I say. Without the autonomic nervous system, we cannot surrender to true experience. We cannot surrender to true self, or we cannot surrender to that which is the hidden, unseen Godhead inside of us. Because the Godhead must be inside of us, unless we cannot really actually experience it. So the reason why we have these diamond teachings in this life, these diamond discoveries by prophets and saints and introspective monks who went to the other side of nothingness to see what it is on the other side of nothingness. We cannot do that unless we are carried and held by the nervous system and given the opportunity to experience freely without any control by ourselves. We have that ability because we are held and produced by a nervous system that we don't have to constitute ourselves, because that is already there, and that is already the platform on which we exist. So when you find the autonomic nervous system in yourself, you will find that it is possible to surrender to that law which it actually is. And that law is what many people call the Godhead, or the Father of true self, that which gives true self existence in this life. I've spoken a lot about that which is produced and that which is prior to that which is produced. That which is prior to that which is produced is the pure experiential reality, the pure experience of the nothingness that we can be in when experiencing either the world as we perceive it or our own inner beingness. This may sound like mumble-jumble, but I think that people who had some training in introspection and in yoga, you could say, because this is actually all about yoga, the yoga of discovering self, of seeing that which can experience self, the true classic orthodox yoga of self itself, the true classic yoga of understanding that which self is as an experience, both for that which experiences this experience and the self which we call, or the self that constitutes the experience in itself. Because yoga is about discovering the true self behind the self, because the true self is the self behind the self, and the self behind the self is that which is given to us by the autonomic nervous system. So this is an important teaching, this is an important small little lecture which can bear fruit to many trees in a small way, but it can give clarity and peace and safety to many of us who is searching for that safety, the safety that we don't have to produce ourselves, but which is actually just a part of life. It is given to us by, namely, yes, by the autonomic nervous system. We are actually safe because we are held by the autonomic nervous system. It's actually true that we can surrender to that which is the autonomic nervous system. That is actually true. This is why people in a coma survives for many years, 10 or 20 years. Because the autonomic nervous system is doing the breathing. And if it is not doing the breathing because it has some damage, then at least it is making sure that with breathing support the heart goes on, or and there is some digestion, there is some of the most important chemical processes, biochemical processes inside the body is still working. So if this reality that is that which the autonomic nervous system gives to us, we couldn't have had the Buddha, because the Buddha needs the autonomic nervous system in order to let go of all the obstacles that stands in the way for a true Dhamma, the true mind teachings of the true Dhamma. It may be possible to see the truth and to find the truth without the autonomic nervous system, because it may be possible by our brain and by our cognition, by our cognitive abilities and by our talent, analytical talent, to see truth, discover truth and acknowledge truth without the autonomic nervous system. Maybe that is possible, but it is not possible to have any meaningful experience of it and have it as an application in our life. We cannot apply this knowledge into our life without the autonomic nervous system, because only with the autonomic nervous system we are able to give up control. We don't have to control any processes by our own. Actually, we cannot control any processes of our own. The nervous system does that for us. So we are living in mental dis-ease, whether we have mental disorders or not. You could say that in psychology, whatever it is, or psychological reality, perhaps is a disorder in itself when it comes to the true peace, the true paradise that is given to us by the autonomic nervous system. We are living in an unnecessary stress. We are living in difficulties and mental dis-ease, which is not actually necessary, but we give it to ourselves because we attach to mental phenomena, and we believe that we have to do so in order to constitute life itself, or the world itself, or cognition itself, or that which makes it possible for us to communicate and navigate in this life, and to be a person, to be a human being, to be someone who can identify himself as such and say that, yes, I'm able to do this job. I can do this. I can do that. I am like this. I am like that. We are able to create these channels or these avatars. We are able to create ourselves as anything, as any mental construct that we may be able to construct and imagine and constitute by our own mental faculties. But why are we able to do so? We are able to do that simply because we are carried by the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is the platform on which we can rely, on which we can accept to be liberated. The autonomic nervous system is that which we can allow ourselves to surrender to, because it is a force in itself. It is something that we cannot control. It's beyond our control. And we are frantic because we always want to have control. We always want to keep control. We always want to get and achieve control, because when we achieve control, we can be hoo-ba-ba-loo-ba-ba-doo. And that is good and funny for you and for me. But it's not actually necessary. No, really, it's not. But that's just life. But this was a meditation, you could say. I mean, this is a teaching that is meant to go deeply into our system. And I hope that the fruit of this little presentation can help to give some clarity on an aspect that is really truly important to understand in human life, and when it comes to understanding our true human situation in this world, in this life. Thank you.